What's going on, guys? Patrick from BSquared. Today's video is going to be a continuation of our Autocross series, so if you guys haven't seen the first two episodes, Prepare for Autocross and All About Autocross, take a look at those first. But for today's video, we're going to be talking about addressing the challenges that newer drivers experience, and we'd like to show a little bit more of how an experienced driver would handle the same challenges. So the point of the video is to show you what mistakes a newer driver is doing compared to a more experienced driver, so if you're new to Autocross, you can quickly identify and correct these mistakes and just accelerate your learning curve. So let's talk about some bad habits that beginner drivers have. The first, and most importantly, is poor look-ahead vision. If you're not looking ahead, what you'll find is you're going to be shuffling the steering wheel, you're going to be over-braking or under-braking, or not being responsible with the throttle. And vision dictates absolutely everything you do in the car. If you don't have good vision, you're basically going to have a reactionary driving style. You come up to your next feature, like a corner, or in the case of Autocross, maybe like a gate, and then you're going to be reacting to that gate as soon as it gets in front of you. If you're not prepared to drive through that feature, then you're going to be reacting to it. And what happens is your reaction time is slower than that of the car's movement, so you end up overturning the wheel, causing an understeer usually, or your throttle timing is going to be bad relative to the corner, so you're going to end up spinning out the car. And you're essentially just going to be making a ton of mistakes being a reactionary driver. So once you fix your vision, you can actually solve probably 90% of the mistakes you're going to make because they're all related to vision. The next mistake that I see most new drivers do is shuffle the steering wheel. They don't hold their hands at the 9 and 3. They sort of like pass the wheel hand to hand, and it's not necessarily the best thing to do if you don't have control over it. So I would say keep your hands at 9 and 3, and then when you look ahead, you're going to preemptively start turning the wheel so you don't have to feel like you're passing the wheel from hand to hand. It'll be much smoother, you'll have much more control, you'll be much more consistent with your inputs, you'll understand what the turn of the wheel does to the car relative to the ways your arm moves. So you're going to build that muscle memory when you're at 9 and 3. A lot of people also bring in their bad habits from street driving, the main one being you're using your steering and your brakes simultaneously. Like, you know, when you come up to a red light and you're going to turn right and you're steering and you're braking and the car doesn't seem to be out of control. People aren't used to that when they're new to performance driving. They end up using the brakes and using the steering at the same time and then wondering, why doesn't the car listen? Why is the car understeering? And that's because you're just not used to having different phases of a corner. And when I talk about cornering phases, I would mean, braking, steering, letting off the brakes, and getting back on the gas. Although you can blend these specific motions together, like you can blend in your steering and your braking at the same time. If you're a beginner level, I wouldn't suggest to try it just because it's a little bit harder to control a car that is in trail brake. You may have heard that phrase. But we're not going to get into that. I'd say just stick to those specific phases and try to drive the car that way. The only way to get rid of the street driving habits on the Autocross course or at the track is to get rid of the street driving habits on the street as well. So when you're on the street, look ahead, try to separate your braking and steering phases, or at the very least just be aware that on the street you're not actually at the limit of the tires just like you would be on the Autocross course. Another bad habit beginner drivers have is just the fear of driving. Knowing that you can possibly under or oversteer, you end up having this fear when you use the throttle and the brakes, and depending on your body's fight or flight response, you would be under or over driving the car because you have that fear. To address your fears, you simply need to just get out there and get more seat time, and eventually, once you get used to the feeling of driving the car at the limit, and you get over the fact that you're going fast and you're doing a lot more steering and braking than you're used to, you just know how to do it. It becomes some sort of a second nature to you. I don't know of any great driver that didn't have to overcome a bravery problem in the beginning of their career. So don't rush into becoming fast. Be consistent, be controlled first, and the speed will definitely come. Another mindset problem that I found beginner drivers have is that they compare themselves to more experienced drivers. Don't compare your first day to somebody's 20th day at the Autocross. This is supposed to be fun first, so enjoy the drive, don't put pressure on yourself, and you're actually going to end up going faster if you're actually having fun. Shifting gears here, looking at a more experienced driver, we can see that the vision is there. I'm looking before I turn into the corner, but I think the biggest advantage that I have over a lot of other people in the car is that I think I'm having the most fun. I might not always be the fastest, but I am growing pretty quickly because of how much enjoyment driving actually brings to me. It becomes so much less of a responsibility to show out and be this driving god when you're just having fun first. So to all of the newer drivers out there watching this video, we just want you to know that we understand your frustrations. We know how hard it is to get started. We know sometimes it can be intimidating, especially being in the paddock with a bunch of people who've been doing this for such a long time. So don't worry about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video addressing some of the challenges that you might have as a beginner driver. And believe me, we've all been there. We've all been told the same things by other people in the paddock. And I just hope that this video allows you to speed up your learning curve and get faster and faster by prioritizing the correct things. Remember, vision's good, have fun driving, and enjoy time with your friends.
You're right up there.
Stay safe, guys, and see you out there in the paddock. Bye for now.
Good job. Proud of you. Good job, Pat.
Time's a time.
I'll be proud of you no matter what.
Thank you.
I won't be. I'm joking.